Thank you for listening to Shark Bite Biz. We hope you got some insightful info from this podcast. Be sure to subscribe to us through your favorite podcast app and visit us on the web. From the city of brotherly love, this is Shark Bite Biz with David Strausser.
Welcome to Shark Bite Biz Live. Nothing like doing a live show where you play the outro before you do the intro, right? Well, this is your place to learn about the gnarliest tech and business stories of the day so that you can jump on the hottest trends to fight your way to the top. I'm David Strausser, and we must say hello to my data-driven co-host here for our third episode together, Mrs. Odeta Pine. Hey, Odeta, what's up? How you doing?
Hi, David. Hi from New Braunfels, Texas, where we started the day at 40 degrees and now it's 75, by the way.
Wow.
I am so happy to be here today for our third episode. And
Hey, third one's lucky charm. Lucky charm,
I know, right? always a lucky charm.
Yeah. Speaking of the temperature, it was crazy because I was catching it. I mean, in the city of brotherly love, everybody knows the Phillies and the Padres are playing right now. It was 91 degrees out there in San Diego during this game when they, started it off. But it's currently 4-2, and I'm hoping that Phillies get a clean sweep right here in San Diego. So we'll see how that goes, right?
Yep.
I know you're a big Phillies fan, right, Odeta?
Yes, David, by association,
Thank you for just making me happy. So anyways, thank you again for coming, and I'm so grateful. I have not scared you off yet. Like I said, Odeta and I, we have an amazing show set up for tonight. We'll be chatting about, again, some of the hottest topics out there. We'll be talking about the metaverse and Facebook, Meta, some cloud gaming and the demise of Stadia, Twitter, Elon Musk, and last but not least, our super special guest interview for today. Somebody you can actually find in this month's episode of Forbes magazine, Dr. Edward Burns. First, though, hey, Odeta, we got to do some housekeeping, right? Let's give a special thank you to our sponsors, both Vision 33 and G7 Tech Services.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Both companies really, allow this show to happen, make it possible, giving us a time with Odeta's company, G7, pretty easy because she is the boss lady. But my company giving me the time to make this possible. But either way, both companies, we're grateful. They're great tech companies. Reach out, vision33.com, g7techservices.com, and both of them will help you grow your business. Another thing, if you love what you're doing, please support us. Super chats. If you're watching on YouTube, and we know you're watching on YouTube, please do a super chat throughout the show. Support the show, help the show so that we can keep doing all the magic that we're doing. But even without a super chat, just throw in a regular chat, a regular question, whatever it is. After we finish our interview with Dr. Burns, we're going to go through every single question in there and, give you the best answers to what we can. With that in mind, hey, let's get down to today's very first topic. Odeta, what do you have on your plate for us?
Well, we're going to talk about the metaverse, right? And before we get a little bit into the details of it, of what it is and all that, I just want to say out there for those of you who don't know what it is, you're probably familiar with the Meta, Facebook. They're completely two different things, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here a little bit. I wanted to share this quick little 20 seconds video that shows in a very high level as to what metaverse is, right? I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to click share system audio. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. Can we, David? You should be seeing Chris Cox here. He's the Chief Product Officer from Meta. And he just gives a really good, quick definition of what Meta is.
Think about it as the next chapter, the next evolution of the internet, except it's the part where it gets less flat. If you think about the primary metaphors for the internet to date have been about web pages and literally two-dimensional objects that we peer at through screens. One of the most important trends in computing has been the computer moves from a basement to our desktop to our pocket. That has happened over the last 50 years. And we believe.
So Chris does such a great job here by saying, hey, we've come such a long way, right? From the computers, the big machines in the basement, to the phones in our pocket, and from two-dimensional flat now to three-dimensional, all this virtual worlds, right? So what is metaverse? Metaverse is a network of different products and technology that work so well together to give us humans that 3D life experience in everything we do. And it's all about being immersive, right? And what that is enjoying things at that other level, right? By just having this high-end technology that brings everyone together from anywhere in the world very close to each other, right? So when we look at the impact that Meta has, right? And I love this from their website here on about.meta.com, because it says, even though it may be virtual, the impact will be real. And the reason why is because of the immersive education and training to new possibilities, right? In any type of industry, healthcare, workplace, in everything pretty much that we're involved and we do in and day out, right? So one of the biggest, and I didn't even know this, but one of the biggest things about Meta is that if you look under their technologies, right, on their website, they got the different devices that work with these virtual worlds, right? We got the Meta Quest, which we'll talk about, the Meta Porter, and the Ray-Ban, right? I don't know if you guys knew about this, but Ray-Ban actually works and collaborates with Meta, and they have this smart glasses designed to keep you in the moment, right? And no, they only have one pair of glasses, right? Just like, the other devices they have, but they have all about 20 of them, I think, that have a built-in literally camera and audio, and they literally can snap anything that they want to be involved in, anything they see, any experience, and bring that to life. And that is absolutely, absolutely amazing, right? I mean, you can only think how far technology has gotten. And like years back, this was just a concept, right? But now they're here. Everyone is using them, right? And not only that, but what for me, being in business, G7 does lots of data and it's the services and software companies. So we do lots of consulting, right, for companies out there, how to streamline their processes. And, the funniest part about, and the greatest thing about Meta is that if you look under their technologies, they actually have a session about work tools, right? And what are some of these work tools, right? They start from, if you look at the overview that they have, I mean, it's all about working together. I mean, look at this 3D image, that concept that they create from just someone kind of writing it out, right? Look at this office where they're all together. I mean, this is amazing. This is taking companies, right, to a whole other level that we didn't really thought about years ago, right? And not to mention also the virtual reality headsets. I mean, this is a whole other ballgame here. And one of my favorite parts of this is the Meta Horizon workrooms. So what this is literally a virtual space that your company can bring all of the teams together, okay? And as a matter of fact, I don't know if you guys listen to Julia Sweet, who she is, but she's the CEO of one of the big 5 consulting firms, Accenture, right? And Accenture has been using this to onboard about 150,000 brand new employees, and it has been amazing successful. And the reason why is because of the immersive concept, right? They are actually learning by doing. It's not just a simple onboarding, David, where, oh, well, here, you go through all of this paperwork and you need to be in the systems and those systems and so on and so forth. It's literally just going, she calls it the innovation rooms, and having a chat with them and learning and getting some little assignments there. And it's part of that onboarding, but they're actually doing stuff, right? They're not just sitting there and kind of wasting time on setting up with the systems and paperwork and all of that. So to me,
and legs. They're not wasting time on legs at all.
On what? Say that again.
On legs. They have no legs whatsoever.
No legs whatsoever. Right? That is a funny one. So anyways, I mean, there is just so much that they have. And again, we're not fully there yet. And I think there's so much more to it from a legal perspective, sensory perspective, inclusivity, that we still have to figure out before this is something that companies are using worldwide, right? But it is there. And I wanted to bring up the Accenture website, because they do have pretty much a department that, you know, focuses on metaverse, right? And they call it the new area of digital change, where they're literally helping businesses and coaching businesses how to raise and be ahead of the game, right? And racing towards the future, which is very different from the one that, you know, we all know. And you know, the craziest thing, the coolest thing here with Accenture, for example, is that they actually have lots of case studies, right? They help their clients learn and shape about the metaverse, and they straddle these different strategies, right? Even if it's in marketing or digital products and services, digital commerce, like the NFT, right? The slash tokens. I mean, this is something they're doing with a lot of companies out there, and it's proven to be really, really good. I mean, Accenture uses it for their onboarding purposes. And, you know, David, I was like, oh, this gave me some ideas about my company and how we're growing so fast, and the whole onboarding and the lack of time, right? Or the commute part of it sometimes, right? Even though that is kind of non-existent nowadays, but it seems like a lot of companies are trying to get back into, you know, working in the office, at least where we are here locally in New Braunfels, Texas. But so there's a lot out there that people are using metaverse for, right? And if you look also on their website, some of their greatest new technologies, right, are their Meta Quest and also the Meta Portal, right? Which, again, Meta, and this is your favorite topic, David, here, right? About 8 days ago, Mark unveiled the project Cambria, which was a higher end mixed reality headset. So this is definitely going to be quite in the high end expensive, based on the verge.com. The Quest 2, it's higher than the Quest 2, which is at about $400 price tag, right? There's still discussions and conversations about this, right? Because we all know he just put kind of a hiring freeze for the rest of the year. So the investors are kind of doubting his expensive pivot to the metaverse. So still, again, there is so much that's already been done with the metaverse through the virtual rooms and all this devices and different projects using the VR and the augmented reality and all this, but we're still are years away from it. And I think with everything that's going on right now with the economy and just everything worldwide, there's gonna be some pushbacks on this for sure, right? And you know, David, here's where we can open it up for conversation a little bit. But my biggest thing, what do you think about the regulations, right? And the I mean, think about all the different technologies. It's a big network, right? All these virtual rooms and companies and devices and all this. I mean, there's going to be so many different people from all over the world, right? Trying to be part of one big world. How does that make you feel, David? What are your thoughts on that? I mean, to me, I think that there's going to be a big challenge given that there is the variety of all these different platforms, right? And technologies. And,
Right.
we talk about diversity and we talk about feeling inclusive. I think it's going to be great because it's going to be more inclusive than the actual society that we are at right now, right? But I
Hmm.
also think at the end of the day that what comes with that territory is a lot of legal battles and issues. And how do you get all this technology to fall under certain laws and regulations, right? Where people, there's no offensive language, there's not any bad comments, or like what are your thoughts on that, by the way?
Well, it's kind of like maintaining a live stream chat, especially if you're in like a political space or something like that with the comments. It's kind of like, oh my God, you see some of those things and they have to moderate those instantly or their channels being pulled. It's almost the same thing like that to a degree. And before we go further, I did take the source, your source off the screen right now because since you were sharing audio, it was giving us an echo when I chatted earlier. So if
Ah,
you need to reshare without the audio.
I will.
Um, yeah, that's we figured it out why we were getting the echo earlier. But you brought up a lot of good points, and in fact, I there's a lot of different privacy concerns, and you've got to remember too. This is not the first venture any major tech company has had into the metaverse or these mixed reality AR VR type spaces because you can go all the way back to a failed Google project, which I did have, which was the Google Glasses, I believe it was called. And
Yes.
yeah, yeah, I loved it. They were amazing at the time. They were groundbreaking. In fact, I still have a video on YouTube of me crossing the international border from I was down in Tijuana, Mexico, and I was crossing the border straight into San Diego. And I recorded it just wearing my Google glasses. It was pretty awesome. And then you had the maps and the directions right there that was in a non-obstructive view. That's kind of a little bit to where those Ray-Ban glasses are. And if you get into that, then you also have Microsoft got into this space. Everybody's thinking again, Quest, Metaverse, Facebook, all that stuff. Okay. But Microsoft had, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was the HoloLens. Might
Yes.
have to do a quick fact check. I mean, where they were trying something like that, but it really, I think it made an impact, but only for training areas for companies as far as virtual training for them. I don't know. I mean, if you had a headset that you could get the tech of the size of a Ray-Ban sunglasses into that size frame, both of us wear glasses, okay?
Right.
Now
Right.
imagine wearing that headset 8 hours a day. I think that would be bonkers, just on the body itself. I mean, I think
Well, yeah, and if you think
it
about the
detaches you from reality in a sense. I think.
right, but think about the whole gaming thing, right? I mean, kids nowadays, I feel that they spend so much time on this virtual worlds and gaming that they kind of detach from reality in a certain way,
Hmm.
shape, and form, right? So, I mean, yes, I think the physical part of having these glasses on all day long, I agree with you, right? It's just bunkers. But
Yep.
again, I truly believe that there's so much to do from a hardware
Hmm.
and software perspective. And what comes with that, again, it's a lot of laws and regulations because what you're essentially doing right now is you're opening it up to everyone. I mean, I can
Right.
be teaching and having an experience with my cousin in Paris, right? I haven't seen her, God, in
Hmm.
like 5 6 years, and I'm right there, right? And I don't need to get on a flight. I can experience a lot of, the whole embodiment thing and the feelings. And I mean, it's almost real, right? So it's going to open up so much. And again, we know software, right, David, is there's just always so many loopholes and hackers out there and all that. So there's just going to be a lot. There's just a lot to think about on regulations and the type of technology from hardware and software perspective.
There was a lawsuit that just happened, and an employee. This is out in Netherlands. You can probably search it up. It was all over the news, but basically, like a privacy violation because they were taking, I guess, screenshots or recording stuff like that with the employees, and might have been Denmark. It was some country out there in Europe, and they lost. They said, "Hey, this is against European Union's
Right.
constitutional laws." They also said that it was against that own country's laws, invasion of privacy, and it was a pretty big lawsuit. I mean, they have to pay, you know, probably a drop in a bucket for the company, but it's still a significant amount because that employee ended up being terminated over that because
Right.
they're able to monitor you in ways that are way more intimate, okay, than they can now when you're work from home, or in the office. And okay, let's get it straight. You're a business owner, okay? I'm not, but I feel like I am in a way because the way that I have that entrepreneurial spirit and the way that I run how I work here at Vision 33. And I can tell you, like, I trust my people to go out there and do the job. They're hired professionals. They're at high level, and it's pretty easy to tell. Are they completing tasks? Are they doing it on time? Are there, if one thing's okay, well, they're late on this, but are they late on everything? Is only the work being done at a shoddy level or whatever it is? Like, there's a lot of different signs that you can do without crossing that invasion of privacy. And I think kind of being connected, and I'm very, very pro tech. Like I said, when Google came
Right.
and everybody was calling us glass holes for the Google Glass.
Right.
Yeah, glass holes was the term.
The glass.
I was a glass hole. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I'm always bleeding edge tech, but when it comes to work, that's where you're going to have some high level executive at some company and they're looking at KPIs, and the KPIs they're looking at are not the KPIs that are going to be the ones that are founded based upon reality of what value that employee adds. And that's what
Right.
my concern is.
Right. And again,
There you go. We just got the comment. Glass holes. They loved it. Throw that on the screen.
Funny. That is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Ray. Yeah, I mean, again, like with Accenture, for example, right? Julie, they have 150,000 employees, and they use this for onboarding, right? And when you look at certain tasks like that, which is streamlined, right, efficient, automated, and your brand new people are learning more than actually filling out paperwork, because we know what the process is. When you first get hired, you spend most of your time, your first week, legit learning the system, signing up, usernames, passwords,
onboarding.
emails. I mean, it's gotten better. There's the whole onboarding, right? All this paperwork that's go to the HR and all this, and there's very little that actually new employees spend on hands-on training, right? It's very, very little, and that has changed after 2019, but I feel that there's still a lot of areas within different companies and different industries that it can help in a certain way without stepping on anyone's privacy or toes, right?
Yeah. What I find interesting is that, okay, there's two aspects of this. There's the fun digital VR gaming aspect of it, and then there's also the work aspect of it. And I think the fact that they're able to have, like Quest 2 or the new headset, what was it, the Project Cambria
The
one?
Project Cambria,
I forget the official name of it, but the new Pro headset that's like $1,500 that they're coming out with. Once you can cross those two worlds, merge them into one, okay, and you can use it, for work, and then you're also using it for fun, entertainment, game, social. as long as I guess there's separate logins, so that way what you do with your personal life isn't fully
It's
being tracked
separate.
by your
It's
business,
separate.
right?
Yes. Well,
I
and
mean,
that's why, like, if you look on their
that's an ultimate
setup,
market maker, I
right,
think.
right. But if you look at their setup, the way they have set up their devices and the rooms, they're very different. They got work
Right, right,
rooms,
right.
and then they got the other area of it. So yes, I mean, it's just gonna have to be different. But again, to your point, there's just so much you
Mhm.
can do with that, right?
Right. Now, before we move on to the next topic, I do want to touch on one other part that you brought in about, and that was the Facebook slash Meta, the investors. About them being worried. They're pushing. Oh, is Zuck going in the wrong direction? Is this metaverse thing a flop? Look, whenever you're a business that's as large as somebody like Facebook and Meta, as big as they are, and you change your core business, okay, the investors, they're going to be nervous, and you can't expect results in 1-2 quarters. I mean, this is a
It's gonna take time.
multi-year change for them. And also too, I mean, again, you also have to remember, everybody, I think most people kind of put the I was going to say multiverse, that's a whole
A
different
whole
thing.
other,
That's
yes.
a whole other discussion. But the metaverse, a lot of people just associate that strictly with Facebook, Meta, Quest, stuff like that. But it goes way beyond that. It goes
Beyond.
into more of a decentralized internet and all that type of stuff. I mean, ultimately, will this work? I mean, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, they do have the first to market advantage, I think, and they have a lot of things moving in the right direction. But can they develop it fast enough to make it where it's profitable and their stock price isn't bleeding out money?
Yeah, and what was interesting when you said that? I mean, there is companies. I believe I need to fact check this, but in Miami, they literally have offices
Yeah, we
of
don't fact check on this show.
like.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, no, I'm just kidding. But no, in Miami, there's I forgot the name of the building and the office, but I mean, they have a bunch of developers developing all of this stuff and offering services for this, right? Just like Accenture
Yeah,
is actually, and they have their own labs that are doing this. And I mean, it's a service people are adding to their portfolio, And to
right.
me, that is it's fascinating. I think it's smart. I think it's it's a great concept. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of work. Censoring. It's going to take a long, long time to be to a point where we can say, "Hey, like, well, we're in metaverse. We're using this. This is."
Right, right, right. Understand,
Um,
understand. Let's while we're talking about metaverse, meta, all that game stuff like that, let's switch gears. Let's jump right into our next topic, which is going to be the cloud gaming front. And for those of you who follow me, have watched the podcast, you all know I love Google Stadia. I used to be a gamer when I was younger. I mean, I'm still young, I haven't hit the 40s yet, but I gamed much more in my teens, very early 20s. And then I pretty much got out of it. What got me back into gaming? Well, believe it or not, it was Google Stadia. A founding member with Google Stadia, which kind of bums me. I got a little star there by my name. And, this was groundbreaking because cloud gaming, I mean, it's not really anything new, and it's technology that should be out there in the forefront. But hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's what they say, right? Or something like that. And let's face it, Xbox, PlayStation, even Nintendo, they were moving way too slow. And there was a huge room for competition out there. So what happened? Google ended up developing their own gaming solution called Google Stadia. Now, when this came out, man, the gaming tech industry, they were brutal upon it. I mean, they were hating on it left and right. And half the people writing articles were, I mean, they all follow each other. And it's like, oh, X said Y, so that means that it must be true. And that's just what they reposted. It was a bunch of garbage. Yeah, the first week wasn't the greatest week I've had on the service. But after that, and it seems like they fixed some hiccups. I got used to how it worked, and it's amazing technology. I mean, having a controller, think about this. You can play a game in up to 4K, 60 frames per second, that's streaming from, almost like a supercomputer in a way, but it was just a super powerful server. And then the controller, instead of having to connect to a third device, like a console or a computer, it connects directly to the server itself. And that cuts down latency. In fact, they did some tests on Doom Eternal because that was released across all major consoles, and the latency with Google Stadia was actually less than what it was at least at launch. It was the lowest with Google Stadia compared to Xbox. That's pretty amazing considering that controller is literally hooked up directly to the cloud server going through your Wi-Fi and nothing else. The other benefits of it was, I mean, it really pushed game cloud technology into the future. You could play, not at first, I mean, it was a little bit of a slower rollout than what I would have liked. Okay. It rolled it out to where you could eventually, at this point, if they weren't shutting it down, and we'll get to that in a moment, but you could play on any computer, any cell phone, any TV that has Chromecast. You could play anywhere. The better part is you could play with anything. I could play with my TV that has Android TV with Chromecast built in, and hook up a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, or even a wired one if I wanted to connect it that way. And you could play with keyboard and mouse there. I could play with an Xbox controller, a PlayStation controller, a Stadia controller. You could use anything. I mean, it was amazing. It had straight on, I could stream directly to YouTube from playing the games. I mean, it was clicking a button. A couple seconds later, you're playing some of the same games I've tested out playing on Xbox, and it takes way longer for me to get the Xbox turned on, even with the instant on, getting it turned on, get into the game screen, getting the game loaded up. I mean, with Stadia, it was cutting that down to mere seconds before you were in a game. And, when it was launched, the reception, and I'm kind of befuddled by this, but the reception of it was actually like pretty negative, but actually users, real users, people like me that didn't want to spend $500 on a console that we couldn't buy anyways because of the supply chain shortage, and was only a casual gamer that would play, hey, I got an extra 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, let's play. It was perfect for people like me, worked amazingly. I thought it was very innovative. And one of the high points was what was it? I think 2020, 2021, something like that. Whenever Cyberpunk 2077 came out, okay, that game came out. It was so buggy. It was barely playable on any console out there. Even PC users with some of the highest specs had a lot of trouble playing the game. So, what happened though with Stadia? I mean, believe it or not, Stadia had the best, and this is from Forbes.com. 5 reasons you should play Cyberpunk 2077 on Google Stadia. And this was written all the way back, in 2020. The game came out shortly after. It came down to one, Stadia outperforms consoles. And that outperforms was with a game like it was amazing. There were some bugs in the game, don't get me wrong. I played the game all the way through, but we had no issues as far as the problems that other people were having using the Stadia platform. I mean, using like Xbox or PlayStation, where the game was essentially unplayable. One of the biggest advantages, though, of this was right here. There's no download. Okay. So, for example, on day one, launch day, there was a day zero game patch that before you could even play, even if you downloaded the game before in the background, you had to download this update once it was released to be able to play. So you had everybody on PC and console that had to download that patch. Not me. All I had to do was just hit the play button, it was already loaded, playing at 4K for me, and it was an amazing experience. Again, I talked about this, but I was able to play across devices. Okay, that to me is amazing that you could play anywhere. Whether I take my kids to the park, I'm playing on my cell phone. Whether I'm just in my office, whether I go to my main TV, whether I'm in a hotel, just playing off of a Amazon Fire tablet. Because you're using just the browser and having it streamed to the browser, it's almost no different than using Netflix. Yes, the downside is you do need faster internet, okay? You did need good internet, but as long as you had 100, 150 megs down and probably, 2 to 10 megs up minimum, you should be okay for 99% of the people, but it did depend on your network. And I also got the feeling, talking with friends that have tried it out, that you probably had to play 2 to 3 gaming sessions until Google kind of understood what your internet connection could handle. In addition to that, until you got used to the controls, because using the controller, going directly to the server, I mean, it's the same thing. You play Xbox and you play PlayStation, it's going to feel different. It takes a gaming session or two to really get used to the input, how it goes. But once you got used to that, it was perfectly fine, and it's cheaper. I mean, one biggest things that people did not understand with Google Stadia is that it was technically free. They had a couple games that were free to play that you could just straight on play. I think like Destiny 2 was an example, and you didn't have to sign up for the service. What's better is that if you subscribe to a service like Ubisoft Plus, which gives you pretty much Ubisoft's full catalog of games, all you could do was that with Google Stadia, bam, you could play it. Now, you're not going to play in 4K if you weren't paying, but you were able to play. Or you could do, the pro subscription, which give you 4K access, $10 a month, and they gave 5 or 6 free games out a month. Lastly, you could just buy it a la carte. You sign up for the service. There's a game you want to buy. Oh, it's on sale for $20. Okay, you buy that. There was no membership that was needed at all. It let you buy some of the top games out there without having to buy the hardware. And as long as you had a cheap used Microsoft controller or a keyboard and mouse, you were able to literally play pretty much anywhere. And in fact, just as a quick little demo of exactly what I mean. I'll let that load up a second. But the bummer is, and you remember, I'm streaming right now too, so it's not going to be the fastest because of the fact that we are doing a live show. But I mean, right here, you got the game, you hit play, within 10 seconds this game would be playing, and you really can't ask for anything much better than that. But what I really loved is that it added some really innovative features. Okay, this is what I mean. PlayStation, okay, Xbox, Nintendo, they failed at doing this. So this is where Stadia moved the needle. If you play a game like Dead by Daylight, okay, where you can be a killer or you can be one of the people that are trying to escape. What you can do is, if you're streaming through the Stadia service, which right here, it's pretty easy. You just go down to Stadia settings, and I think right there, YouTube, and bam, you're able to stream it really easy with a couple of different clicks. But once you start streaming that game out there, you could do what's called crowd choice, which means, should I be the killer? Should I be one of the people that are escaping? I forget what they're called in the game, but the people watching you can actually vote and pick who you got to be, characters, stuff like that. And even with a couple other games, I mean, it was like, hey, I made a custom map. Okay, I'm going to share you this on my live stream. Click on it, and people just literally had to click and they could join you exactly where you're at in the game. I mean, to me, that's pretty top notch. So obviously, I was very, very heartbroken once I saw that Google decided to kill another project. Google became their own version of a glass hole by doing this. And just like Google Glass and so many other products in the Google graveyard that people loved, winding down Stadia, I think it's one of their biggest mistakes that they have made. Honestly, I'd love maybe PlayStation to buy this, Nintendo to buy it. They are doing it as a white label service to other companies like AT&T or for some game publishers, but it's a total bummer. Now, on Google's defense, they did honor as far as every dollar ever spent outside of the pro membership that we had for a family, they're refunding it. So, people get refunds, like I spent $80 on the Cyberpunk, I'm going to be getting that $80 back. So, kudos to Google for doing the right thing with that, because I would have been pretty upset if I didn't get a refund. So where does that leave us with the state of cloud gaming and technology as of today? Well, you get a couple different options out there. Shadow PC is probably the only one I have not tested at all. People are using this. It's basically a virtual computer that's set up for streaming. However, I've been seeing the forums like Reddit, stuff like that. A lot of people, a lot of questions. Other people, it seems to work fine. However, it's nowhere near the quality of what Google Stadia was able to offer. Now, with no, I don't want notifications. Now, with GeForce, NVIDIA, they make the memberships. You can get a free account with them, $10, $20, again, based upon performance. But you still have to kind of buy the game, then potentially pay for the membership, depending how much of a gamer that you're going to be, and then you can do it. I've tried it with, I don't own many games in Steam. I've tried it very limitedly, not a huge fan. And maybe that's because I'm not a PC gamer. I'm more of a console gamer type person. If I was a PC gamer, you might like it. Anybody out there that's done GeForce Now would love to hear your feedback on that with the console gaming. So with the console gaming, then you do end up having, this is Xbox. They have their xCloud. Now I'm going to tell you, xCloud has been out there for a couple years now too. Maybe a hair longer than Stadia, but with xCloud, it just isn't good. I mean, the quality streaming's low. It's slow. I have not. I would say Xbox has the advantage over Stadia because they do have the library. However, their full library isn't able to be streamed. Only a very small percentage of it, I would say, is able to be streamed with xCloud. But for those that, if the games are on there that you play it, it works. Is it the best? No, but it is in that Xbox ecosystem. That's probably something good. And then lastly, I do, as I said in the beginning when we were talking about metaverse and all that stuff, I do love leading edge tech. So I actually was one of the first people to try out Luna with Amazon and their cloud gaming platform as well. Now, unlike Stadia that goes to YouTube, Luna obviously goes to Twitch. Amazon owns Twitch. So you could do a lot of the same, but you are very, very limited with the games that you're able to get with Prime Gaming, with Amazon Luna. It's a very selected and it's a rotating schedule. You're not able to purchase the games outright. Something like Cyberpunk 2077 or 77 or something like Madden football, for example, you're not going to be able to get it onto Luna because they don't sell games outright. And that's kind of a bummer. Now, will they do it with something like EA Pass? They do have Ubisoft Plus and a lot of Ubisoft Plus games. Who knows? Don't really know about that. And lastly, I just kind of wanted to lead off because Stadia just pretty much died and shutting down in January. Netflix has already launched gaming and it's mostly within their app, okay? But with them launching the gaming, it has not been a major success. They're complaining that people do not play their games enough. So I find it kind of weird and ironic that today this article came out probably about 8 hours ago now that Netflix wants to launch a cloud gaming service like Stadia. Be interesting. Maybe Netflix partners with Stadia, or maybe they end up buying the tech, but they want to build something like that. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work. But bottom line, despite all the harsh criticism that Stadia got from launch, how they mishandled a number of items, all the way up to now it's going to be in the Google dead product graveyard, it was a good thing for gaming. I mean, it really, I think, pushed it forward as far as what is gaming in the future for console, for PC, for any type of flat screen out there that's not sitting directly on your face. I think it pushed a notch out there. It set a very high bar. And even with Luna, I could play, let's just say an Ubisoft Plus game like Far Cry 6, okay? I can play that on Stadia. Works perfect, loads fast, no issues. With Luna, you can tell while Luna plays, it is lower quality. And load times, wow, completely different. Way longer to load on Luna than it is with Stadia. So that to me is a, kind of a mini history of the launch of Google Stadia to the death of Google Stadia, and something that I'm very compassionate about. I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts out there. Comment out there, ask a question, tell me what you think. What do you think of Stadia, Luna, GeForce Now, xCloud? I think PlayStation Plus is out there too, but I don't know too much about it. Love to hear what you all think. But Odeta, what do you think
Yeah.
about the cloud gaming and the tech?
David, it's interesting because I started talking about the metaverse and kind of that whole history from the big computers to the phones and now the glasses and this virtual world, right? And it's the same thing with gaming too. You think about the whole hardware, Xbox. I remember, I
Mhm.
think we still have it. I actually need to send it back to Europe for for my cousins to use it there, because again, there's countries that they don't have the high bandwidth of the internet and all that. So, but
Right.
anyway, so my point is, it's amazing to see how it's all going on this cloud, right? It's all virtual pretty much. And what's interesting about it is I feel like we moved to a subscription based life. We have so many subscriptions,
Oh
right?
my God, yes.
So this same concept here, we got the gaming, right, on the cloud and subscription
Mhm.
based and all that. And now Netflix, of course, they're going to add gaming. Prime,
Yeah.
of course, they're going to have gaming. I mean, it's all pretty laid out, right? There's always been a plan. And I don't know about the Netflix thing though. I
I
just can't,
don't,
and I'm
that's
not
the one.
I'm not a big time gamer at all, okay? So, but
Mhm.
I just can't see using Netflix as a gaming platform, right? And maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but it's the same thing with Prime, right? When you think about why do you go to Netflix and why do you go to Prime,
Mhm.
it's usually mainly for the shows and the
Well,
some of
you
the
have to
really great
remember,
movies.
okay, that's where I'll say that Amazon's a little bit different, because Amazon does own Twitch, which is a
Right.
gaming streaming service.
That's where I was
So
gonna
that's
get to.
where,
Right.
okay. See, minds think alike.
So everything is planned, right? And they
Right,
have the connections, and therefore they're just bringing this as part of their, services and the subscription base, right? So now you
I
got, it's just a
I
nice to have
yeah,
and give to your already subscribers, right? From a business model perspective, and they can either choose to have it or not choose to have it, right? It's
right.
just talking about the pain points, right? This is
Mhm.
avoiding those pain points. And it's the same in business, right? You want to avoid pain points. You want to make it so easy for customers. Same thing here. The same thing like Xbox.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
pain, the downloading. I mean, it was horrible. You had for a new update, right? You had
Mhm.
to go, and an hour after or the next day, you probably would have had the game downloaded, or you probably didn't have the space for it, and it just dropped, right? This was like
Right.
years ago when it first came out, but
Yeah.
again, the
Now
point is,
that's a problem, because they're selling the digital versions of the game, and you have to download those, and you need the space. I mean, I don't even space. We do have an Xbox that the Project Scorpio Xbox that it was. We got that on the pre-order many years ago. But with that, it did say that it's only 500 gigabytes. I mean, it's impossible to put even half the catalog of what we've gathered as a family year because there's not enough storage space. I'd have to get like a
Right.
10 terabyte storage drive. Everything. It's crazy. And then you look at the patch update and all that stuff, and that's where cloud is the future because of the fact that, like I said with Cyberpunk, like that day zero patch are on Stadia, preloaded, ready to go. I was playing it while other people were still downloading it.
Right. And again, it's less pain points, right, throughout the process.
Hmm.
And
Right. I think AWS messed up, in my opinion. And I've been saying this for many years, even before Stadia existed. Xbox, Microsoft, they have Azure, they have their cloud servers. They obviously were going to be using that. I think AWS should have partnered, Amazon should have partnered with PlayStation and using the power of that AWS infrastructure, because you have to remember part of this is the gaming catalog that comes with a service. If you
right,
don't have the
right.
games, people aren't going
Then
to
you're
want to
not
play.
right.
Get those games and then figure out a rev share that works between AWS.
All
I
of
mean,
them.
I think that is where they should have went, and I thought that was a huge mistake. Who knows? Maybe they tried in the background. They just couldn't come to an agreement because cloud computing is it is expensive no matter
It's very
what you're doing.
expensive. Very,
So
very, very expensive.
quick reminder before we go into our very last topic, before we go into our special interview. Make sure you get your chats out there, your questions, your super chats, everything like that. And, very briefly, we're going to give you, it seems like our monthly update at this point of the
Yes,
ongoing
maybe it's the
saga.
last one for this month, David. I don't know if you saw this.
Maybe.
I right? I don't know if you saw this, but this just literally came out about 10 hours ago, which pretty much Twitter froze all of the stock accounts because it seems like the Twitter Elon Musk's takeover deal is pretty much to be closed, right? So think about all when it started back in April, right? The 44, billion-dollar deal, and then the back out of it, and then the lawsuit, and then the whole investigation that started, and then here we are, October 19th. It seems like it's going through, right? The Which is funny because the same time that this came out, also Elon Musk sells everything out of like all 30,000 bottles of burned hair. And I'm like, burned hair on pre-order. So I'm hoping
I
when
have a
everyone
bottle
is going to
of
get
burnt hair.
these, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
absolutely fascinating, to see this going hand on hand here, right? And one of the things, so this is from the investors.com, that they were talking a little bit about the private equity deals, right? So as you know, this whole transaction, there's lots of money behind it, investors, right? And you got Morgan Stanley, you got Bank of America, as you can see here, Mitsubishi, a whole bunch of them, right? And the thing about this is that this includes about 6.5 billions in riskier leveraged loans, right? And then 3 billions in secured bonds and another 3 in unsecured bonds, right? So we all know that when the market crashes, right, companies sell at a discount. This might be attractive, right, for the PE firms to buy this very productive assets, right, at a cheaper price. But I think that the reality we're in right now with the increasing interest rates and also the recession, right? I mean, you see left and right, companies are doing so many cuts where they can because it's going to be a recession, right?
Yeah.
And this This is going to be interesting, right? To see how this goes. Obviously, he is going with it, right? I don't think he has any other choice, to be honest with you, right?
Well, there is the federal investigation about his purchase of Twitter now too. I mean, do you know any update about that?
No, but I mean, I would appreciate if you have any updates on that.
Nope. I just saw
No.
that he was doing that. I did buy burnt hair
When was
though,
this?
so
Yeah, when when was this the something new about the investigation
yeah,
came out today? I must have missed that then.
yeah.
This
I'll
was
pull it.
was popped up, and I said, "Oh my god!" And now it seems like the deal is pretty much going through, right?
That's what I would thought. Yeah, I didn't see that earlier today, but about 5 days ago, I got an article here from Reuters that says that Elon Musk is under federal investigation. Twitter says in court filing, so he's being investigated over his conduct in the $44 billion takeover deal for Twitter. The social media company said in the court filing that was released on Thursday, which
Hmm,
would be Thursday of last week.
of last week. Okay,
So that's interesting. But
that's
I
the latest.
did get the burnt hair perfume, and if you look at his uh, Twitter bio right now, it literally says perfume salesman.
I know that was another, and I mean the fact he called it the essence of repugnant desire, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah. Well, we were
very
talking about
interesting,
this the other day. His
right?
name is Musk. Why is
Musk,
it not
why pick
essence
right a
of
burnt
Musk?
hair perfume? I know, right? Why pick
The
the
only
burnt
okay.
hair?
Well, I think this is my theory. Don't know if it's true or not, but if you remember this, the burnt hair perfume is technically being sold by the Boring Company,
Yes,
one of the lesser known companies of Elon Musk, which does the tunnels underground for stuff. But basically, before when he did a thing like that to generate revenue, it was flamethrowers. So I'm thinking the follow up then has to be the burnt hair because people burnt their hair
the
off
flame,
with the
the
flamethrowers.
flamethrower. Yeah, yep. Which
Yeah. So
makes sense.
final guess. Before hopefully we won't be covering this topic next month because we'll know the answer. But
Yeah, well, we should
is
know
this
by
going
October
through?
28th, by the way. So that's kind of the next date for
Is it
this
going
deal.
through? Yay or nay?
Yes.
Will it happen?
And he has
Yes.
no choice at this point. Do you
I
go and
think it's
fight
going
the
through.
legal bit? He has no choice. But it'll be
Great.
interesting to see what's going to happen after the deal closes. That
Right.
will be
Right.
interesting.
Right.
So I'm really
Understood,
curious to see.
understood. So I guess it's time. We have a guest that's been patiently waiting by to chat with us. I think it's time to start bringing him in. Let me give a little introduction here. So, as promised, we do have a special guest that's coming on to discuss the three topics of the day that we just digested. Well, who do we have? Unfortunately, Mr. Burns was unavailable. Some water pressure tank issue in Springfield or something like that. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to welcome Dr. Edward Burns onto the show. So, who is he? Dr. Edward Burns Jr. is a retired U.S. Marine who served 2 tours overseas. After getting out of the military, he became homeless, then started a cleaning service with only, check this out, $34.41 in his bank account. He later sold that cleaning company to a private equity firm for $12.4 million in 2017, becoming the first multi-millionaire in his family. Dr. Burns joined the life insurance industry 15 years ago. He has personally coached and mentored more than 40 six-figures earners in the industry and has received countless awards. I'm going to give an award today. We'll make sure it's countless, but countless awards from various insurance companies. Dr. Burns is also, just as I am, a Forbes Business Development Council member, and he's featured in the October issue of Forbes magazine. Go grab a print copy of it today. So, hey, Dr. Burns, welcome to the show. I am so glad and honored to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me on, David. I'm so happy to be here with you guys, and it's a humble. I owe you a couple bucks for that wonderful introduction.
No, you just owe me an autographed copy of that Forbes magazine, man.
Thank you so much.
So, hey, before we go into any of our topics, we have a tradition on Shark Bite Biz. Very first question we ask every single guest. Tell us about you. I mean, who are you? Well, we already kind of know, but I want to hear your words, how you phrase it yourself. Okay. What makes Dr. Edward Dr. Edward?
I think it's me being blessed. I think I'm one of the most humble persons you're ever going to meet. I want to help as many people that I can help to live the life that they deserve to live. My job and my mission is to help as many families as I can to understand that they too can make it out of the ghettos like I did myself, and just give back to the community. That's who I am.
Well, Dr. Burns, nice to meet you and what an honor. Thank you for your
Thank you.
service.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, it's fascinating. I mean, your achievements, your background, where it came from. I mean, absolutely, it's what an honor to be here with you today, and thank you for taking your time to be here. Right, this is our actual third episode with David doing this.
Yeah.
So this is the longest podcast that I've been co-hosting with, David. So I'm trying to learn, and I mean, the most beautiful thing about this is that we're around people like you, right? And
Yes.
it's I'm blessed actually and thankful to be doing this with David. And what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, or kind of get your ideas, is we talked about metaverse. Right.
Okay.
And we talked about the cloud gaming, and we talked a little bit about the update on Elon Musk. What are your thoughts overall on this topics? Where do you see them as they are, and where do you see them in the future? Right.
I think the metaverse is going to get better. I mean, right now we are able to even buy real estate in the metaverse, so that's shocking to me. So we're able to buy real estate there. So I think it's going to get better for us, especially those of us who like working remotely, so we can actually have that true interaction with our clients and services overall. I think once the realization comes in that we are actually living in our future now, I think more people are going to catch on to it. It's going to be a great thing for us.
Yeah. Well, so will you be one of those workrooms adopters, early adopters per se? Would you be one of those?
I think I will be, because I think that that's where the future is going. I mean, if you can get out in front of something, that's the best range of gauging that you can actually do, besides falling behind. I think so many times in technology that we fall behind. We try to play catch up all the time. I think right now, with the metaverse, right now, with all the great things coming up that we have, that we got in front of this thing, that our business flows, so we can be much better at it than for our clients and for our people that work for us.
So as far as the society goes, right, I truly believe that we have lots of issues in the social media and all that.
Yeah.
How do you think what do you think metaverse's impact on that will be? Will that be a positive one, empowering one? Will that be a negative one? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it could be a positive and a negative. It could be.
Why so? Can you hear me?
Okay, in a positive sense, it could work in a way that it gets us closer to our clients without us actually having to touch our clients, because most people don't like going out because of the COVID-19 and all this kind of things going on in the world. Number two, it could be build a relationship within the metaverse that we can actually learn how to optimize and actually monetize it properly. Would be a great thing for those of us who are techies in this industry. And the negative part about it is not being able to touch people in real time, the mental health issue of it, mental awareness of it, because some people need that realization of touch and feeling versus just always being remote sometimes.
So do you think the new generation, where we know now a lot of kids, they're in their virtual worlds, right? My 14-year-old nephew, he plays games all the time. He's in his little room, and every time he goes out, it's just almost like a chore, and it's uncomfortable to be around people. So do you think that the metaverse will be more embraced by the different generation, right? That it's kind of that next generation, or do you think it's going to be both? What are your thoughts there?
I think the generation that we're living in now, the Gen Zs right now,
Gen
they are
Zs, yep.
they are already capturing this space right now. They understand it. It's
Yep.
going to be easy for them to adapt to how to actually work without working.
Right,
Without
Right,
living
right,
right,
right.
pretty much.
That's the great part about the metaverse is you can work without working. I think this generation right now is catching fire to it. It's going to make much easier for people to now become billionaires, not just millionaires, but billionaires in this
Mm.
space. It's going to be a great
Yeah.
thing.
It's funny that you say that, because I think people like me, being old now, as a zennial, I will not call myself a millennial ever. As a zennial, I think going full blown metaverse. I mean, as you get harder, it's as you get older, it does get harder to learn new things. And when I was younger, it used to frustrate me with my dad or somebody in the family that needed help with this or that on their computer. Like, this is so easy. Why can't you do it? Well, it's because I grew up with it. I understood it. I embraced that. And it's so much easier for me. And I kind of feel now that I'm getting older, even though I am on the bleeding edge of tech, there are still some things that does take me a full minute to grasp the idea, to grasp the technology and stuff like that. Whereas Gen Z, just as I was born into Nintendo and PlayStation and Xbox with that age group, Gen Z is being born into the metaverse
Virtual.
world in a way. Yeah,
Correct. Don't forget Sega. Don't forget Sega, David. Now, come on.
yeah. Sega. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, come on. Now you're aging us all, Doc. Uh, so one question for you is: you said that the monetization of the metaverse, the selling of the real estate. You are a doctorate. Is it business? You believe, right?
Yes, business
Yeah,
finance.
the doctorates in business from when we talked before.
Correct.
What about monetization as far as life insurance in the metaverse? Is that going to happen?
Yes, of course, it's going to happen. We got it.
Anything is possible.
Hey, we got to evolve with the times. I mean, we can't fall behind because things are changing so
Right.
rapidly. Like we didn't think that we was going to be changing from the early 1800s, 1900s up until early 2000s, and we still changing, rapidly changing to try to catch up with the new industry. So yes, we're going to be right there giving life insurance and IUL in the
Mhm.
metaverse. It's going to be right there doing the same
And you
Are
thing.
can
you going to get
customize and all the different tiers and what you need to do in here and how you can go and add them to your cart and all that.
Exactly.
digital property insurance on my purple unicorn?
That's what I was
You
going
know
to
what
say.
I
The
mean?
name, we're going to
Yeah.
have to figure out the name because it's going to be digital insurance something.
Correct.
Yeah.
All the way through.
Yeah, well, I want to throw that up there. First off, I saw you laughing off screen when I gave your intro, so it looks like I was like, "Ugh, I hope the Simpsons joke doesn't go over his head." But you got it, so I was happy.
Yes, yes.
um, so one of the reasons that I wanted to bring you on, and we talked about this when you and I had our private conversation the other week, was rich people leverage things like life insurance as far as being able to help uh, get not really free money, but they're like, I guess the way they leverage their money or something like that. I don't know what it is, but the way that rich people manage their life insurance and assets and stuff like that is different than what a lot of middle income to lower income people do. And it's because they just don't know how to do it. And that's one of the areas you kind of specialize in. Can you talk to us about that, please?
Yes, thank you so much for bringing it talk up to me, David. There are several different types of life insurance. I think most people believe um, life insurance is only to be used when you die, but
Hmm.
the word life is when you're alive, when you're living, right? So you should be used to things while you're actually living. So, in the way that I actually help families use life insurance is in a way that you can actually use it while you're alive. So let's say you have a term policy, right? There are some term policies just strictly term policies. That means when you pass away, it pays out. It has
Hmm.
no riders such as living benefits with this, such as a critical, chronic, terminal illness rider or critical accident rider. That means we can keep your lifestyle going while you recover. That's very important in today's world because if
Yeah.
you cannot keep that lifestyle going, then your family goes into something called bankruptcy real quickly.
Yeah.
You have cancer, maybe you have,
Bankruptcy's not good. I've heard about that.
it's not a good place at all. But then let's say if you want to go another level up, it's something called an IUL, which is a tax code of the 7702, which you can use to pretty much you can use it as your own bank. It's called infinite banking if you want to use those terms, or
Yeah.
whole life, which is infinite banking if you want to use those things, those instruments to supplement your income if it's done properly, David.
Yeah, we've had on the show, Odeta wouldn't know this because this is from the regular podcast. Pretty sure she doesn't watch every episode I put out, but
Well, not everyone.
yeah,
Not every single
okay,
one. But
every now and then, right? But the ones that feature you, pretty
we
much.
don't know.
Yeah,
David, no.
yeah.
Before I was on your podcast, I checked it out, of course.
But
Sure.
we've had one guest on here. We've had plenty of financial service type people on the show, but only one other guest has ever brought up that infinite banking. Okay. So I'd like you, for all the people that are out there watching this show live, and then there's going to be thousands of people that watch this show once it ends. Seriously, I mean, live shows
Yes.
averaging 4,000 to 5,000 views after it airs. It's crazy. They love it post show. So for those people out there that'll watch it afterwards too, explain to them exactly what that is and how it works, and also, break it down to, like a simple person's terms, so that way, because this stuff gets very complicated very quickly for some people, and if you're like me, you need a calculator just to figure out a basic discount. So with that, let's try to make it as easy as possible for people to understand.
No problem. Infinite banking has been around for a long time, since before World War II. So it's not a new concept. It's just a new
Right.
philosophy that's actually been caught on by the mainstream. So
Mhm.
let's say you can do infinite banking with a whole life policy or with an IUL. It depends on where your status at within the hierarchy of how you want to build your income, right? So
Mhm.
one thing I want to make sure I make clear that an IUL or infinite banking is not for everybody. You have to
Mhm.
qualify and you have to know what you're doing because there are such things as fees associated with it, like with anything else in the financial service industry.
Insurance, right.
That
Right.
makes sense. Okay, but here it is.
Right.
Here it is. Here's how it actually works. Let's say you have a death benefit of $1 million, right? And you have cash value that's growing over a certain amount of time. Let's say you have $500,000 in your cash value. You get
Mhm.
to take a withdrawal or a loan, depending on how you want to how it's structured for you. If you have a loan, it's going to be a percentage rate between 5 and 7%, depending on the carrier, if you pay it back, or you can have a withdrawal where you never pay back at all, period, and it comes out the death benefit of it. But as
Right.
you continue to grow the money inside your IUL or your whole life policy, what happens is you can take out a certain amount of money, i.e., 100,000, and the IUL acts like it never exited the policy. Like it's still compounding interest growing within the policy, right? So what happens is you withdraw the money out, you go invest into, let's say, a home, a new house or apartment building, something you want to add more money to your portfolio with.
Mhm.
What happens is the IUL keeps growing as if the money was never withdrawn.
Hmm.
How does it do that exactly? That's the biggest thing that I didn't understand on the previous show. Is that
Okay,
what you were going to ask, Adetta?
Yes. How
Okay.
is that possible?
because
Yes.
How does that work?
great, because of something called compounded interest on that money. So let's talk about that. That's one of the things that people don't understand, I think, with simple mathematics, because it's so difficult to understand. So if you're putting in, let's say, an
I got my
example.
calculator. I'm going to fact check you, doctor.
Oh, please, fact check it. Don't
No,
look
no,
it up.
no, 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 no. We're good. We're good.
David, no.
Let's say you was the guy that came in, you put in, $100,000 one lump sum, and you was
Right.
paying 5,000 minimum $1,000 base, right? It's premium, right? And you just go back and you withdraw 100,000 out of that, right? Remember, you have a death benefit sitting in the corners that's probably about $900,000. So
Mhm.
if David or Data don't pay that money back, but they keep the premium growing, right? What happens is we take the money from the death benefit now. So instead of you having $1 million death benefit, your loved ones are paid back 900,000 because the premium was paid and the cash value kept flowing. That's how we can do this over and over
Ah.
again.
Mhm.
It had to come to your bank. Number two, I want you guys to remember something when it comes down to this. Even back in the reason why it was actually created was like people like Walt Disney. They made
Right.
Walt Disney World to actually build Disney World. J.C. Penney, he kept his stores going in J.C. Penney because of the infinite banking system. So without the insurance policy that had cash value, these big companies could not have grown. Period.
David, where did you go?
We lost David.
Did we lose you, David?
Yeah, no, I'm here. I had
There
to
we go.
cough. I had
I
to
think
cough, so I disappeared. I figured, oh well, Odeta, she's the data person. She'll have all the questions. I
But
was trying
David,
to hop out. No,
Dad
I
and
was
David,
kidding.
I want
I'm kidding.
to
I'm
make
kidding.
sure tell you guys this also, that a 7702 plan or
Mhm.
an IUL is just a supplemental. It's not to replace your
Yeah, it's an
retirement job.
additional on top
Well,
of
Right.
what you got.
So
So
we get
that's
a lot of people are always coming in with this going to replace your 401k. It's a supplemental, but if you do it correctly, it could replace that 401k if you have the correct funds, if you qualify for it, and if it's IUL is actually properly structured.
Right. And so, first off, again, I want to mention I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there watching. You all have questions. Submit them if you're watching on your YouTube in chat, and we'll get your questions answered right after we finish talking with Dr. Burns here. So, I guess one of the big questions, and you kind of answered this already, but just I guess make it a little bit more clearer. What
Okay.
would be the difference between like the permanent life insurance and the term life insurance?
Thank you for asking me that question, David.
Well, you wrote it. I mean, so it should be easy. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I've been saving that line for so long.
Okay. A term life insurance policy is for a fixed term, 10
Yeah.
years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, right? A
Mhm.
permanent plan is for the rest of your life as long as the premiums are being paid, right? The one thing that I see a lot of people doing in our industry is we tend to provide a service for a person without providing them with an experience of true what they can actually do. And at the end of their life expectancy plan, let's say they spent approximately over 30 years, they was paying $100. Do the
Mhm.
math on that. That's a lot of money.
that's
They
a lot of money,
spent
right?
on that term policy to only have to go back again and get another term policy for 15 years so they can have something for their family. But what if they would have had a return of premium on that? What on
Mhm.
this type of term policy, return of premium? What if they would have got a permanent policy? So when they got older, they would have already had the critical illness rider when they got sick. Lord forbid, the chronic illness rider, chronically ill, COVID-19, they on respirator, can breathe.
Mhm.
Critically injured, they got into a car accident, they couldn't walk anymore, they had to have in-home services. These are the things that we can actually help clients with for less than a cup of Starbucks coffee. But people
Right.
don't realize
Wow.
that. So if you think
Right.
about that, it's really a powerful thing to have permanent life insurance now versus having, your grandmom's term policy back in the day.
Right. So, question then that comes to me, and I'm sure that even though they're not saying it, they're thinking it, is why should somebody invest then in the permanent life insurance versus something like perhaps putting their money into a
Something for a
401k or
1K or
something like
something.
that? Like, what would be the benefits of one versus the other?
Can I just be honest with you?
If you want.
I don't like paying taxes.
I was,
I don't like paying taxes.
I don't
So
like taxes either. So,
the best part about a permanent policy or an IUL,
uh-huh.
everything has its advantages and disadvantages. The advantages
Mhm.
of the IUL is the 702 code. You don't have to pay taxes on that money because you already paid taxes on that money, and
on
it's
the
it's
right.
post-tax money. So as long
Mhm.
as you don't go over the single premium lump sum load or the 7-year pay load, it don't become a modified endowment, which is a MEC. You are fine. You can forever get that money. But once it becomes a MEC,
What
it stays a MEC.
what
Yeah,
is
but the
that limit?
401k you can't really touch it.
Right.
Exactly.
And if you do, then you're just it's just something you're stuck with until
Right.
you are
Correct.
ready to retire.
With the IUL
Um,
or permanent policy, you can get that money, access to it at any time that's needed for you.
Which is
Yes,
not
ma'am.
taxable
Which is
again.
exactly.
Because with a 401k, if you take it out, it is taxable.
Then it's taxable.
Right.
Correct.
Right. Let's jump into another topic quickly.
Okay.
As I've mentioned 4 times already so far today, you are inside the print issue of Forbes magazine today, this month in October. What are you in the magazine for exactly?
Actually, I'm in a magazine for an article for finances, actually. So
Finances. Wow.
yes,
Wow.
just
So you're
talking about the IULs, talking about, and this is the topic is the I like to say the 401k is dead. That's what I like to say to people all the time. The IUL is a new 401k. That's what it is, in my estimated
so
professional opinion.
okay.
Interesting. Yeah.
So
Very,
you brought
very
up
interesting.
the 401k versus the the permanent life insurance. What
Yes,
about as far as an IRA? I mean, I guess the difference would be is that one then so you have the pre-tax stuff. I mean,
pre-tax.
it's
Yes,
post-tax revenue. Yeah,
correct.
right. So
Mhm.
on both of those. Now,
Yeah.
yes, there's the age limits and stuff like that. But if you put that aside, how does that compare then once you get older in age?
Because of the compound interest that we have, that we can possibly get, you don't actually necessarily lose money going backwards like you do with a 401k. Sometimes when I think people get tired around the emotional roller coaster, and they get
Right.
tired around the
Yeah.
economic roller coaster. I mean, you got to gain 100% gain in order to get a 50% back to your 401k
Back to
loss.
your, yeah, yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
make
The
sense.
math behind it, right?
With an IUL, we lock you in when the market goes down. When the market comes back, you get all the gains added into that gain you just received.
Right.
That's the beautiful part about it. Versus the 401k, versus an IRA, versus a CD. I mean, imagine right now a CD right now. It doesn't make sense to have a CD when
Mhm.
inflation is at 9.17% right now, and we are going into July, August, to October, our 4th month in a recession, which has not been officially announced yet. Wow,
Right.
Right.
we're looking at
Right.
24 to 36 months before we even begin to come out of this recession. So if you had
Yeah.
if you had an
Yep.
IUL that was performing properly, that was actually done properly, guess what? You would be in a much better position you are with more than a 401k.
Yeah. Yeah. I know my 401k has taken quite the hit over the course
Everyone's.
of this year. However, I kind of view it a little bit positive. Like, yeah, there were some losses that were happening from when stocks were paid at a premium, but right now, I mean, the stocks that are being purchased towards the 401k, it's kind of like you're getting them at a discount. I view it. And maybe it goes down even further, but the money will still be purchasing it at a discount. And eventually, what goes down must go up.
Well,
At
and
least that's how I
and
view
right
it.
now, if you have the money, you better be spending it now, right? So
Right.
where everything is down and you got the money, then you
Correct.
pay because then it's gonna come up.
So
You know,
the question you have to ask yourself is how much of a beating can I take? And
Can
before I
right.
have to say no, enough is enough. Right now, like I said, if you're ready for retirement, if you're in retirement mode right now, and you lose the money in your 401k, how much longer are you going to stay retired before you have to start looking for another job or going and live with your children because of the market has done what the market has done to you?
right. I mean, with me, my age, at her age, I mean, it's different because we still have hopefully 30 plus years that we're able to maybe even 40 years, depending how long we work, to kind of
Mhm,
recuperate that the losses that we're facing now. But for
mhm.
older Americans that are in their 60s or even in their 70s and they're starting to take money out of that 401k now, that's where that's a rough going for them.
Yeah.
That
And there are other safe values there too, Dave. They can actually put it into a high valued annuity as well and get instant money right away as well, with higher percentage rate because annuities are not your old T-bill annuities anymore. They're actually better than they were back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and 80s.
what is the best age to buy one of those the permanent life policies?
Zero, a baby,
Zero, as soon as
They're
they're
baby,
born.
baby. Yeah, because I was
baby.
gonna ask you. I have a 19-month-old,
I
and
make
again, my husband and I trying to figure out, hey, we both have businesses. What is the best way to do this? We truly do believe we're both entrepreneur, very like big dreamers, and we truly believe that if your money is sitting in the bank and it's
Mm-hmm.
not moving, then you're losing.
So
Okay, so
that,
if it's not moving, you're
Odeta, here's the
losing.
thing for you. You have $1 million baby right now. You have $1 million baby. Hear me out for a second. Think about it for a second. 529 is a college plan, right? It's made to go to college. What if your son or daughter?
Son,
What
Odin.
if your son say, "Hey, mom, I just want to be an entrepreneur," and they can actually start off that money, tax-free money, without having to pay a penalty on that money because they didn't go. They don't want to go to school. They want to. They might want to come train with me for a year. They
Yep.
want to go to the world with me for a couple years, and then go into the entrepreneur space with tax-free money. You have $1 million baby sitting right there in your arms.
No, I agree with you 100%. As a matter of fact, I never pay for college. I don't have student loans.
Okay.
So I am not paying for him I mean, mind you, I'll think about it, but he's going to work. If he wants it, he's going to work for it. I worked for it big time. I left when I just turned 19 with a suitcase, one-way ticket, and made something happen. So, if he really wants to make it happen, then yes. I mean, of course, I will support him and all that, but he's got to make it worth it. But yeah,
Yep.
I agree with you on the college fund versus that. And again, college is not for everyone.
I see parents all the time
Francisco.
saying, 529 plan, 529 plan. I go, wait a minute. Do you think your children may want to go to college or become entrepreneurs?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's something
no.
we do not do, and we're not, we're.
I was gonna
That's why
say,
I was asking about the insurances and the
Mhm.
money going and moving, and what are the kind of the best ways to get something like that to obviously our first child is our first child. So,
Right.
but yeah,
Yes.
Exactly how you two explained is, same thing, kind of similar, a little different as Odeta. I mean, she was in a one-way ticket suitcase, I assume to here, whereas I was going to Mexico. But the college thing didn't happen for me till later in my life, and I had to pay out. Still paying for it now, but as far as Francisco, who's the producer of the show, my son, same thing. It's like if you want to go to college, you've got to earn it. I'll help you, I support you, but you've got to own that. You've got to pay that, and it's instilling the person, the personal responsibility part of it into them at a younger age. Because I mean, I reminded him, like, dude, you're 19, okay, you're in college. When I was 19, I was working at Sears, and I was your dad. Okay, in Mexico. So a big, huge difference there as far as where he's at being 19 compared to where I was at when I was 19, and
but
that's how it
also, I
goes.
mean, to Francisco's defense and my child, we really can't compare.
Oh yeah,
Us with them. I don't think it's fair, but I do
he has the
agree. I do
ability to
agree
cut off
that
your camera, right, Odeta? He is producing the show. I'd watch. Whatever.
how funny. I
No,
think you
you're all
might cut
good.
off your camera, by the way.
He's writing in the chat, LOL. So
That's
that
so funny.
what I have one final question here for Dr. Burns, but do you have any other questions before I wrap up with our final question?
No, I think I learned all about, well, not everything, but the health insurance and how that works with the premiums and all. So thank you for that.
You're
I
welcome.
do not know that.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
I might
yeah.
have to, message you and pick your brain a little bit on that.
It'll be a pleasure to work with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, that this is how I knew that Dr. Burns was real, because when I posted on the forums and Forbes, and I was kind of the internal council member forums, and I was just like, hey, I got a podcast. I'm willing to interview people from the council. I've had a few on the show, willing to have some more, and I'm actually interviewing someone tomorrow, like a recorded episode for the full show from the council as well. But when we first met, he's like, yeah, I wanted to see kind of like how you do things and how it crosses over to what I do, because I started doing YouTube, and he was telling me about how much hate he was getting because he's telling the truth on the infinite banking system. And I'm like, if you're getting like other insurance people, stuff like that, coming after you for that type of stuff, I'm like, yeah, you're onto it. Like, that's it. You hit the spot. You're doing it right if you got the other people chasing you, because you're disrupting their business by telling
Industry.
people, right, the industry, their business, their whatever it is, you're disrupting that by telling people a potential better option for them to follow.
Yes.
So that's awesome. Why don't you tell everybody about your YouTube channel, and also where can they digitally stalk you online? What websites, social media, all that good stuff. Where can they find you, Dr. Burns?
They can find me at Dr. Errol Burns Jr. on Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. All have Dr. Errol Burns Jr. is right there. You can find me right there. And www.valorfinancial.com. You can find me at my website. You can find us out there and ask any question you want to ask us. It's a be an honor. I want to say to David and to Odeta, thank you so much. It's an honor being here. I'm so humbled that you invited me to the show, and I'm grateful for this. And thank you again for having me.
Well, I'm grateful that you came on.
Yeah, you came here.
Yeah, I mean, you're amazing. Hey, final question. I know that was the final question, but we got a new final question.
Okay.
Twitter and Elon. Okay, what's your final take? Yes or no? Is he going to own Twitter? Yes or no?
Yes.
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 How soon? Are we going to be talking about this next month?
Yes, we'll talk about it next. But I believe Elon has a plan, and once he buys it, do I think it will remain the same platform? No, I think it will become much better.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a little bit of an echo chamber anymore, just my personal opinion. It's
Yeah.
kind of last live stream, I was showing the people who didn't delete their tweets that were trolling me, because we were talking about the supply chain, and I'm like, why are store shelves still empty? And I had all these people respond like, oh, where do you live? Like in the boondocks, like my store shelves are filled, blah blah blah.
Well,
I'm like,
as a
seriously,
matter of
people?
fact, if you go to the grocery stores, formulas, the Similac formulas,
Right.
they're the baby formula. They're still out. They ran out. They're empty. And I mean, I don't know. It's mind blowing.
I was talking about things like Xbox, for example. Show me where I can find the brand
Right.
new Xbox Series X. You can't. They've been out for like 2 years. It's very hard to get. And, silenced all the critics. Most of them deleted their tweets once they realized, because all they did was they saw the tweet, they saw the link to the video, and, they just started getting all angry and tweeting back at me without actually watching the video or the nuance of the discussion of what we were speaking about, and assume they know it all. So hopefully with Elon, it gets better. But I don't think, no matter how smart that guy is, you can't idiot-proof the system. I mean, that's the
Yeah, well, and he's got a lot of work to do. There's lots of security issues and protocols, and it's just a lot.
Yeah.
It'd be really interesting to see what he does with that.
Yeah. Hey, anyways, Dr. Burns, pleasure always to speak with you. Honored to have you on the show here, and we're gonna get you for a full episode of Shark Bite Biz. We'll get that recorded sometime in November, so that way next season in Q1 of 2023 we'll get that aired out. But thank you so much for joining us and spending the time and watching the show. You're a rock star. Keep on rocking, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been such a great pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
Odeta, there we go. This is a longer show than I think we ever anticipated, but it's been fun. It's been engaging.
Yes.
Yep. I mean, I was able to disappear for nearly 2 hours, and I have not had my wife ask me where I'm at all, because she's able to watch me on YouTube,
awesome.
So it's okay.
Great. That's great.
But this is a great episode. You have fun?
Well, thanks for having me. Yes,
stuff.
it was great. Yeah, thanks for having me, as always,
Well,
David.
You don't have to thank me. You're the co-host. It's happier. Shark Bite.
I'm
Biz
trying.
Live
I'm
is your
trying
show,
to do my best, and it's fun. I enjoy it. I
you're
think this is
rocking
like my time 2-hour getaway. Kind of
no
nerd
diaper
out a little
changing.
bit.
Yeah. So, anyways, everybody out there, thank you so much for rocking out to our third episode of Shark Bite Biz Live with Odeta Pine and David Strausser. We will be back next month in November. I don't have the date off the top of my head, but I think it's
It's the third.
it's a third Wednesday
of
of November. I think it's the 21st. We scheduled it. I probably should have wrote it down before the show, right?
I think it is the 21st.
23rd. November 23rd. We'll be back 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Odeta, for joining us for the show. And let's hear that outro.
Thank you for listening to Shark Bite Biz. We hope you got some insightful info from this podcast. Be sure to subscribe to us through your favorite podcast app and visit us on the web at www.sharkbitebiz.com. How has business changed for you in the 20s? Email us at podcast@sharkbitebiz.com so you can join us and share your story.